Tired of jumping through hoops to buy Bitcoin? Frustrated with endless paperwork and invasive identity checks? Introducing Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club's loan program. No KYC required. Say goodbye to the hassle and hello to freedom. Borrow up to $250,000 at as little as 7% interest. Join our community and take control of your financial future. Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, where privacy meets opportunity. Connect with like-minded individuals and grow together. Visit us today and unlock your $250,000 Bitcoin loan. Your journey to financial freedom starts here.
And we are live. Welcome to the show, everybody. All right, guys and gals, today we have, thank you, sir. Coffee. My brother. Thank you. All right, I have my coffee and I got my Red Bull. I'm good to go. And I'm back home in Florida. Oh, I love Florida. Love it, love it, love it. All right, guys, today's show is going to explain and make clear what I have been saying since 2017. Actually 2016, late 2016. What is happening right now is so much larger than anyone realizes. What is going on? And thank God for so many more people who are realizing this and really bringing it out to the public. What's going on is the replacement of civil law with common law. All right. Now you might say, well, Ben, civil law, you mean my civil rights are going to go away? Yeah, your civil rights are going to go away and will actually be re-recognized as human rights. You have natural rights. You don't need civil rights. Civil rights is an illusion. They are rights that are granted to you from the government. They're not human rights, hence why they're called civil rights. They're civilian rights. They are rights granted to you from the corporation of America. While natural rights are the recognition that your rights actually come from God or the universe or existence, however you want to look at it. Human rights, natural rights, is what common law is actually based on. It's actually based on the sovereignty of the soul. When you're born, you have a soul. That soul is the gift of life from God. No one can take it away. That's why if someone takes your life, it's murder. That's why in the old days, we had the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Or no, thou shalt not murder. Right? Because it is, and look it up, it's thou shalt not murder in the original text. Because if you kill someone in self-defense, that is not murder. What we are going back to is what we should have never left. And this goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. Now, while Trump was over in Scotland, God, this is so big, I love it. While he was over in Scotland at his castle on his golf course. Now, the land that horse is on. And we're actually going to watch part of an interview from a friend of ours over at Pite Federal. They have ATMs. Now, I could sit and explain this whole thing to you, but he wraps it up in such a nice little package. Plus, this way, you don't just have to rely on my word. You actually hear it from other people. And as more and more people realize this, all right, as more and more people realize this, it will actually become very clear. All right, I'm going to mute myself.
Right for Gold, Guts, and Guns, and when I do these podcasts, and none of that's just the editorial bent, right? Which is to explain what happened with the three bills. When you take the three bills together and you factor that through with all the stuff that Vince and I were talking about in the last podcast we did together for Gold, Guts, and Guns, and I'm going to talk to Caitlin Long and Martin Armstrong tomorrow, and I'm going to talk to Alex Craner on Friday. I can't wait to do all this stuff because this week's going to be fun. And which is, this is nothing less than a return to local community banking and private issuance of money. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You have to have that framework and then a payment rail and then a common payment rail or rails. There can be multiple rails. You can have the Ripple network settling some of this trade, and you can have Lightning settle some of this trade, and you can have something else. All that's out there for the market to choose from. And I encourage the market to innovate in this space. But the stable coins themselves, wrapping treasuries, gold, Bitcoin, this, that, everything else into a dollar token that can be issued locally by a fucking bank, that's the U.S. private banking model of the late 19th, early 20th century.
Yeah.
Now, treasuries move directly to the banks.
Yeah.
And it's an expression of the need, the local need for dollars. With the Fed having the secured overnight financing rate, creating a national network for interbank framework for what the cost of dollars are, the fuck do we need the Fed for?
Exactly. This is exactly what I was thinking. This has been at the tip of my brain for the last 3 days. And it made me, when I read your, I was like, the Fed is the ultimate depreciating asset in the United States.
One of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is why I fucking hate Thomas Massey, because Donald Trump is going to get more done to quote unquote end the Fed, but wind it down from a responsibility, a central responsibility of maintaining the dollar. It's literally devolving it.
Yeah.
And devolving power out of the Fed more than any libertarian could have ever done.
Yeah, this provides so much clarity and explains this Besant Trump Pulte attack on the Fed.
It also explains why Powell is rolling with all the punches.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I for months, I'll be honest with you, for months I was like, I think I might be wrong about this. I think they might actually want to fire Powell, but it doesn't make any sense.
It almost feels like central casting to me.
It really does.
Yeah, really like Jerome's playing his, when he was standing there next to Trump, looking like Mr. Magoo, going, no, I didn't do that. I didn't approve that.
And he's such a and Powell is such a prick. Like, he really is. I mean, I think Powell's kind of cool, right? I mean, I really do, like, in his own way. Because when I watch him at the ECB at the beginning of the month, and he's sitting there with Lagarde and Bailey and Ueda and all those guys, I'm like, he's in complete control of the room.
Right. And that gives Jerome this ability now to be like, I'll keep rates higher, and it'll keep draining the Eurodollar system. It'll keep punishing the London banks. I've got SOFR. That keeps the bond vigilantes out of the room because they think they've got a responsible Fed chair.
That's right.
Meanwhile, Trump and Bessent are doing the end around with stable coins and are going to issue tokenized treasuries straight into the commercial banking system. Then this distribution of stable coins.
Yeah. And Bessent this afternoon, and everybody's like, oh, yield curve control is coming back because the Bessent is getting rid of the high interest rate, long-term stuff, issuing everything on the short term, knowing full well that Powell or the next Fed chair is going to have the ability to cut rates, cut the Fed funds rate, but got news for you. The need for dollars overseas is going to be higher than the need for dollars domestically, but you have to cut the link between the two of them. You have to create that onshore digital dollar versus the offshore dollar. And this is part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, this has been like one of the things I've been struggling with, right? If you look back in history, every time we as a country have moved to end a central bank, it ends in
All right, we are going to go back to that here in a second. But what I wanted to actually talk about it is exactly what he just said. Is how we have to actually break the link between offshore dollars and the American economy. All right. I have been saying this for years. There will be a completely different system for offshore dollars because you have to actually be able to hold them offshore so that they do not inflate our products, our real estate, our housing, our eggs, our bacon. You have to hold those offshore. Now, how do you do that? You do that by literally Africa. Little areas in Africa will use a coin, a stable coin that's actually backed up with treasuries from our Treasury Department. Now, what does that do? And remember, it isn't just countries. It isn't just banks. It's any quote, Walmart. All right, Walmart can actually purchase treasuries and issue their own coin. Now, what does that mean? You have to realize that in the Genius bill, all of the treasuries are 0%, which means the federal government, us, our money, we pay 0% for those dollars. There's plenty of dollars out there, right? But we actually pay 0%. Right now, the federal government owes the Treasury a shit ton of money. Well, we run that through the Federal Reserve, who charges an interest rate. So the federal government, us, our national debt, is actually based on the Federal Reserve interest rate on what they charge us. Now, why does that sound kind of stupid? Because it is. It is stupid. All of these new issuance will be at 0% interest. So, do you think the Treasury Department is going to sell their Treasury bonds where they owe 4.7 to the Federal Reserve? Or will they sell them to all of the corporations, Tether and Circle and friggin' Bank of America and all of this? Will they sell them to them at a 0% coupon? I think they'll choose 0. Would you actually? Because when the Treasury Department sells their Treasury bonds, they're basically getting a loan from somebody. Let's look at it from your point of view. If you're out looking for a home loan and someone says, well, I'll charge you 4.7% interest, then you have another guy who's like, hey, I'll charge you 0% interest. Which one are you going to take? Of course, you're going to take the 0% interest, because then all you're paying is principal. If you have no interest, then when you repay that loan, all you're paying is principal. So on a $100,000 loan, you only repay $100,000. It's free money. That's what it is. Now, why is it actually set up like this? Very simply, because Trump is saying we will create a legal framework where you can legally say that you are pegged to the US dollar. They are selling what Tether receives, what Circle receives, what Walmart receives is the credibility and the availability to actually say we are pegged to the US dollar legally. This is how you replace the Federal Reserve, because until now, the only ones who could print up dollars was the Federal Reserve. Hence it says Federal Reserve note. Well, now Walmart can have a Walmart Federal Reserve or Walmart Reserve note. It's the same thing, because if you have the Federal Reserve, they print up $1, which is actually based on a treasury, and they hand you $1. Well, Walmart can actually print up one Walmart coin that is backed up with one treasury note dollar. See, what a U.S. dollar is it is a current treasury currency, current treasury, which means it's immediately exchanged. I hand you $1. I am exchanging that treasury bond, that $1 bond currently. It is a current bond, where a treasury bond is a 1 month or a 3 month or a 1 year or a 3 year or a 5 year. Those are future bonds. Our currency we use right now is a current treasury note. That's all it is the only difference. Hang on one second. Let me reach in here. All right. This here is $100. All right. This is currency. I hand you $100. You can then, in the current moment, you can take this $100 and you can take it somewhere else and shop with it right now. All right. So this currency has a current value where if you have a 1-year treasury bond, you cannot redeem it for its full value for 1 year. So that means if I hand you $100 1-year treasury bond, you can take it and you can head out and you can purchase something with it, but it isn't worth $100. It's worth less than $100 because they, in order to cash it in for $100, they have to wait a year in order to cash it in and actually get the $100. So what is going on right now is Trump is replacing the Federal Reserve as a currency issuer. He's replacing it with Walmart. He's replacing it with Tether, with Circle, with any other company or country. What this is going to lead to, folks, what this is going to lead to is global adoption of the US dollar. And it will be set at 0% interest on these bonds. Why do we have inflation? Because of the Fed printing up money. But if you offshore that inflation, that's what he was just talking about. Having onshore and having offshore. You have to have them separate because what they're doing and what they're going to do over the next years they will infiltrate all of these other countries with the American stablecoin, which will rush out and get rid of all of the other fiat currencies. That's why the EU is climbing over themselves to launch their own central bank digital currency. No one's going to want to use the central bank digital currency of the European Union, right? Do you know why? It's exactly why no one here in America uses the Confederate dollar anymore, because it won't have any backing. That's why the EU is toast. That's why China, no matter what they do, they're toast. China has two choices. They either collapse because the US dollar will be preferred, or they already have a wall around them. Why not just make themselves West Germany? That's what they're going to try and do. That's why they recently announced for the 100th fucking time they've outlawed Bitcoin, because they don't want capital flight. And why is capital flying? What's it flying to? And why the hell is all of our money leaving China? Because it is a representation of labor value, which means it wants to retain the purchasing price. And China's money is shit as retaining purchasing price. They're worse than us, which is really saying something. So the reason they're afraid of the capital flight is because it's flying into better money and also better assets. That's why China and all the rich China people wanted to own a bunch of land here in America. Because to tell you the truth, folks, if you're going to actually buy land, where the fuck are you going to buy it? Are you going to buy it in Russia? Oh, that sounds like a nice place. I'm sure it is. But Russia doesn't really have personal property rights. Well, that's what's going on, folks, is Trump. Like I said on Monday, Trump is not... This is a larger revolution than 1776. Because in 1776, we only liberated America. Now we are liberating the world. Now, let's jump right back in here and let's hear what my boy says about what Trump was actually doing over in Scotland. I don't know how long it will actually take him to reach that point here in the video, but trust me.
And are going to issue tokenized treasuries straight into the commercial banking system. Then this distribution of stable coins.
Yeah. And Besant this afternoon, and everybody's like, oh, yield curve control is coming back, because the Besant is getting rid of the high interest rate, long-term stuff, issuing everything on the short term, knowing full well that Powell or the next Fed chair is going to have the ability to cut rates, cut the Fed funds rate, but got news for you. The need for dollars overseas is going to be higher than the need for dollars domestically, but you have to cut the link between the two of them. You have to create that onshore digital dollar versus the offshore dollar. And this is part of the process.
Yeah, I mean, this has been like one of the things I've been struggling with, right? If you look back in history, every time we as a country have moved to end a central bank, it ends in war, and it ends in a massive freaking war.
Yep.
And if you're going to end the Fed without saying we're going to end the Fed, and it's going to all of a sudden happen before bullets or other things fly, I mean, I can't think of a better way to try and engineer that. It seems really, really slick and sly.
It is.
If that's what's happening.
Yeah, if that's what's happening, right? And now let's look at what some of the things that have happened. Sunday, Trump goes to Scotland, his property in Scotland, which has been widely now reported that everybody finally realizes that he owns the property on which the castle of Robert the Bruce exists, on top of the golf course and the mansion and the castle and the this and everything else, and summons the two most important leaders in the in Europe to his castle on his helicopter. Ursula von der Leyen, who I love this joke, but I shouldn't use it in public, so I won't. Rolls her in flour, I won't tell you what the last half of the joke is. If you know the joke, you know the joke. Rolls the EU completely and says, no, you pay us. And then Keir Starmer, he just summons to Scotland and says, look, you're done. We're going to reconstitute the real throne, and we're going to get rid of you. I think I think Trump's big dreams are so big. He not only wants to save America, he wants to save all of the English Commonwealth, from which America and all the ideas of America came from.
Yeah, I've been getting that sense
vibe
lately that England is going to become our colony.
Mm-hmm. England, not Britain. We have to destroy the city of London and save English society, because they've been destroyed far more than we have.
Right.
And and if anybody doesn't believe me, go watch Clarkson's Farm.
Yeah, oh my God, I love that show. I could do an hour on Clarkson Farm with you.
All right. So what you just heard him say is, well, Trump went over to Scotland at his resort and at his friggin' golf course with his castle and all of that. This is so much fucking deeper than people realize, because what Trump is doing through his land in Scotland is he's claiming rights under the Magna Carta. Now this goes really deep. Eventually, I'm actually going to have a whole show on this, and it'll probably be about fucking 2 hours long, because common law originates at the Magna Carta. And if you don't know what the Magna Carta is, look it up. It's the origins of sovereignty recognition, where each human has a soul. That's what everything is based off of. All of our legal system is actually based originally off of the Magna Carta. And then that led to common law. What happened was London, all right, and Great Britain, they stole land that was not theirs. They basically killed a few people who didn't have heirs, and they stole land and land rights and land trusts that was not theirs. Trump, with the purchase of the golf course and the castle, and he didn't just purchase the land rights. What he purchased was the land trust. It's a completely different legal structure. All right, like I have told you guys in the past, law, right now we live under three separate laws that were actually laid on top of each other. The lowest level of law is the Magna Carta-ish. It explains how you own your soul, you are sovereign, all this. Then that was overlaid with common law. Well, after the Civil War, and this is all part of how they created the Federal Reserve, because without civil law, they could not create the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve is unconstitutional from a common law structure. But under civil law, which remember, civil law is only corporate nation. A civilization is a corporate structure nation. Civilization is corporate nation, right? So after the Civil War, hence why they called it the Civil War, right? They, during the Reconstruction phase, I love how they call it that. So it sounds like, well, we had a war, we had to rebuild some houses and roads and shit. No, what they did was they reconstructed the Constitution, and they overlaid civil law over common law. And that's when Mr. Teddy Roosevelt, the trust buster that everyone cheered, well, actually no one really fucking cheered for it. Only the media at the time was like, oh, Teddy Roosevelt's a trust buster. Yeah, he's in there and he's just going to take down all the trusts. The trusts were based on common law. And Teddy Roosevelt, which was the original progressive, he launched the Bull Moose Party, which was the original progressive party in America. Now, once they went after the trust, because what a trust is it's a legal claim of ownership under common law. And the trust is actually tied to your sovereignty or sovereign land. Well, after the Civil War, they implemented civil law, which then the civil law structure claimed America, claimed the United States of America, claimed the trust of the land. And that's why Teddy Roosevelt was like, oh, we're going to have all these national parks, because they were removing the land out of the common law trust into the National Treasury Reserve. You follow me? While they said, well, we are going to declare these national parks. No, they didn't. They removed them from the common law trust under America, and they put it into a civilian, a civil nation organization, and they placed that ownership into the corporation that was just reconstructed into a corporation, which was the United States of America, not America, the United States of America is a corporation. And so what they did was they stole the Americans' trust property, because America was actually created and recognized under a common law land trust. And they removed it out of that into a civilization legal structure, civil law structure. See, we all own all this land as natural born Americans, not citizens. We are natural born Americans under the American Land Trust. This is what we're going back to, folks. Because after they created civil law, that's when they created civilians. We are employees of the corporation. That's why when you are born, you get a birth certificate, just like a ship. It's called a title. Your certificate of live birth is your ownership papers in a corporation. We are, according to civil law, we are property of the United States of America Corporation. Why do you think they call them civil laws? Because the head honchos of the corporation issue us those benefits. That's why they call them benefits. You're getting benefits from who? From the federal government. Wait, who the fuck is a fed? I thought they worked for us. Oh no, they work for the corporation. That's why Washington, D.C. wasn't a state, because it was privately owned property in a trust. Washington, D.C. was held in a trust for the federal government and other entities. Why do you think they call it Washington, D.C.? What does the D.C. stand for? The District of Columbia. Folks, this is so much larger than anybody realizes. All of the shit we've had to go through, all of the IRS, the Federal Reserve, the taxes, the slavery, the the inflation of our money, with all of that. It's all these motherfuckers. It's the progressives. And that's going away. And that's what Trump just told them cocksuckers over in Scotland. Fuck you. You're our bitch. Because he claimed it under common law and Magna Carta rights. Trump is not here to play games. He ain't here to lower your taxes. He ain't here to argue with rhinos. He could give two fucks about them loser bitches. And he's not here to negotiate with the progressives. Nope. He's basically saying, fuck you, you progressives. You ain't getting shit. You ain't got shit. and you ain't gonna do shit. Welcome to America, the real America, land of the free, home of the brave. Well, you're only free if you're brave, because you only have rights that you will fight for. And that's exactly what Trump is doing. And folks, Reagan didn't even have balls like this. Not even near it. But he also didn't have the technology to do it. Now we do. We have blockchain. We have Bitcoin. Folks, this is a whole new world. And watch this shit play out. Because you are living through the most incredible time in human history. 1776. No, this is larger than 1776. This is Trump and us. Because without us, Trump ain't nothing but a fucking hotel. Without us, this all falls apart. You, freedom-loving people of the world, that's what this is for. And how you do it is you claim your soul. You claim your rights. You shouldn't ask for permission. You ain't got to ask no one not a damn thing. You are a sovereign individual. You are a free man. You are a free woman. You don't need no one's fucking permission. You only need their permission if you think they have authority over you. Well, I will never grant authority over me. Go fuck yourself. I make my rules. You should make your rules and choose what you want as your money. Do you want to use Bitcoin? Do you want to use Ethereum? Do you want to use these? That's fine. Go ahead. Use whatever you want to. But it's actually based on your freedom. And your freedom is actually tied to your sovereignty. And your sovereignty is your soul. Sovereignty is actually based on the sovereign, which is based on the soul. The recognition that humans have a soul that is given to us from up above. Or if you want, you could say the universe or Allah or whoever the fuck you believe in. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you realize it can't be taken away from you. Now, you can give it away through weakness. You can absolutely say, you know what? I grant you authority over me because I'm a big fat pussy. Or you can say, kiss my ever-loving ass. I am a free, sovereign individual. And if you don't like it, you can kiss my ass. You need to remember you're free. And I think a lot of people are waking up to just how free they really are. And they're claiming their rights, which is exactly what you should do. You should claim your rights. That's it, folks. Rock and roll on, and God bless America. All right. Everyone have a great day. I will not be here tomorrow because I'm going to take a little vacay because I've been on the road for almost a month and I need a little break. But I will be here on Monday. So on Monday, it's the beginning of the end of the global progressive movement. Shit's gonna really move quickly now, folks. So hold on tight and smile because freedom is back in style. Everyone have a great day. I love you guys. And since I will not actually be talking with you tomorrow, have a great weekend and have a margarita or 4. I recommend 4 because it's really hard to get wasted on 1. Love you guys. I'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.
Tired of jumping through hoops to buy Bitcoin? Frustrated with endless paperwork and invasive identity checks? Introducing Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club's loan program. No KYC required. Say goodbye to the hassle and hello to freedom. Borrow up to $250,000 at as little as 7% interest. Join our community and take control of your financial future. Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club, where privacy meets opportunity. Connect with like-minded individuals and grow together. Visit us today and unlock your $250,000 Bitcoin loan. Your journey to financial freedom starts here.